Hello and welcome to our DataBri-X webinar today on legal data spaces. Hello, Christian. So today we are excited to bring together two important fields, law and technology. And yeah, we want to discuss with you the challenges of the European data space. So my name is Anke Losch. I'm Senior Digital Product Manager and I'm also a lawyer. So I'm interested in the application of AI to legal data spaces. And yes, I'm working in several projects since more than 5 years at the moment. So, sorry. It's my pleasure today to guide you through this webinar. So we will thank you to IDSA for giving us the chance to present the DataBri-X project today. In the next hour, we will explore the legal use case and the pilot. So welcome to my colleague and our guest speaker today, Christian Dirschl. He is the Chief Content Architect of Wolters Kluwer, and he's engaged with data and AI for, I think, Christian, more than 30 years. And he's currently working on global content standard for legal and regulatory division in Wolters Kluwer. He is also the industry chair at a semantics conference. I don't know if you know this conference. It's great, and we have seen it in September this year. And he also is a use case partner for DataBri-X and use case and work package leader, so for DataBri-X. So yes, we are delighted to have you all with us today. And Christian will present us today it's a complex title. The Wolters Kluwer pilot demonstrates capabilities of the DataBri-X toolbox for legal data spaces. So in the next few minutes, we will delve deep into the subject and hope we can share with you all our experiences. So have at the end maybe a little discussion, and hopefully at the end we all know a little bit more about the legal data spaces. So sit back and relax a little bit, and now I will hand over to Christian. Hi, Christian.
Hi. Hi, Anke. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the welcome and the introduction. So I will guide you through the next 30-40 minutes and show what we have done already and what we are planning to do. So I don't see you, I just see my screen. So whenever I break up or a question is coming up, Anke, please help me on that so that I get informed and chat and help me with getting things straightened up then. So what I will talk about.
You all know the functionality on the right side, so you can write your questions in the chat, and at the end we will follow these questions. So
indeed. So this is the agenda for today. So we will start with Wolters Kluwer, since it is a legal use case and we are the main use case partner in there. I think it is important to give a little bit of context of where we come from and what we are interested in. Then I will have a small recap of the DataBri-X project. This is the second webinar of a series of webinars that we will showing. So the first one was about the DataBri-X project as a whole, and I hope that you saw that already. But again, in order to contextualize, and for those who haven't seen it yet, I will introduce some aspects of DataBri-X which are important for our use case in order to get a full picture in the end. Yeah, and then we will dive into the details about the legal use case, about the concept of the use case, so the ideas and the objectives. And then we will also talk about the pilot. So we will have in the end something to show and something to discuss, and also hopefully to be used in the end after the project ends in our exploitation effort that we have in mind. And then I will give you two short slides on a summary summing up more or less the main results or the main questions or the main challenges that we face, and this should then lead into some sort of discussion in the end, where you will help us as the audience to get things straight and to help us get more meat to the bone, what we still have ahead of us. So I have 3 slides on Wolters Kluwer. So I will not touch everything. I would just mention some aspects which are interesting here. So the first is that on the left side, the tagline, which is in our case, when you have to be right. So we are an information service provider, so information is our business. And of course, our promise is that the things that we offer to our customers are correct, so they are right, and this is a big promise in the area of artificial intelligence, and it makes things even more complicated when you think about the purpose, because our purpose is to help professionals deliver deep impact when it matters most. So actually, we choose the difficult stuff and not the easy stuff. So the things that are really critical for their business and for their success, and in that respect, I think a lot of aspects that we have around DataBri-X and also around the legal use case go exactly in that strategic dimension that we have here in the tagline and the purpose. We are a global company. We serve customers in more than 180 countries. That also means that we deal with a lot of diversity with respect to language, with respect to culture, with respect to technologies and things like that. And this is also, of course, bringing some challenges and complications with respect to the legal data space, because it's not a national thing. It's even not a European thing. It is something that we look at also from a global perspective. And then we have 4 values, and 2 of the values I would like to point out. So the first one is focus on customer success. Again, this is reflecting a little bit what we had in the purpose sentence. So we do everything for our customers. So they are at the center of what we are doing. It's nothing academic that we are doing, although that also has its value. But we are really business driven and customer driven, and this must be in the end successful. If the customer is successful, we are successful, and in order to achieve this, we have this third value here, which is aim high and deliver, which means that we are responsible for the right results. So in the end, the customer must trust us, he must rely upon us, that we deliver what actually he needs. And this is in the current situation with the hype around AI is a huge challenge that we somehow need to address and need to solve for our customers. So who are our customers? I think we are divided in 5 different business units or divisions. So on the one hand, we have health. So this is clinical stuff. So we advise doctors and nurses at their work area. So when they are really ahead of the standing in front of the patient and give them advice about symptoms and diseases and things like that. The second division is around tax and accounting. So it's tax and auditing and things like that. So again, something very critical for businesses. And the third pillar is around finance and corporate compliance. So these are banks and other financial institutions around, again, legal stuff like legal compliance, legal operations management. And again, this is very critical for any kind of business because if this goes wrong, then very easily the business can be in danger. And then we have a fourth division, where Anke and myself work in, which is called legal and regulatory. So this is really about law. This is really about jurisdictions and things like that. So laws and court cases and opinions and things like that in the different countries, in the different languages. This is our business, and this is also the challenge, because probably all of you know that the situation in Germany is different than in the US, is different in Spain and whatever, and we need to cater for that. And then we have a fifth division, which is corporate performance and environment, safety, and productivity here. So this is something new for us, but it's a growing market. And again, it has a lot to do with regulation. So this is where we live in. This is our world. And now we need to map that somehow to DataBri-X. And in order to achieve that, we have a program in place at Wolters Kluwer, which is around sustainability. And in our context, I think we have two aspects which are relevant here, which is the A in Engage, which is around cybersecurity and data privacy. So of course, data privacy is key. We need to adhere to that. We need to solve these issues that are behind it, also the legal issues. And DataBri-X has one aspect or a couple of aspects which will help us in that direction. And the other one is generate. So what we also aim at is to generate a smaller environmental footprint. You will see in the KPIs that we have in the project and also in the use case that we address that aspect directly. You will see that in a minute. So this is what Wolters Kluwer is about. And now we need to map that in more detail on the DataBri-X objectives. So there are two objectives, mainly in my point of view. First, and then I made that in bold, we provide tools. So we provide tools to support the data lifecycle with FAIR principles and other things. So this is one of the main assets that we will have in the end, that we will have a tool stack in place which works and which is running on the data and which gives an added value by using these tools. And the second aspect that we have, and that's the other one in bold, that we propose and implement a management model with respect to the data lifecycle. So this is something very important because up to now there is nothing there which is really covering all the aspects around data management in a really systematic fashion. And we have a model developed in the project already before. And this is our blueprint, and I will go into detail for that as well. So this is what we do. So we have tools in place, and we have a management model in order to get data usage up and running. We have 3 use cases, so from different countries, from different domains. So the first one is a telecom operator use case coming from Nova, a telecommunication company in Greece. And this will actually be the next webinar that will take place early in November. So I suggest that you also attend that. Then we have the energy data space use case coming from Siemens, from Vienna. This is about energy communities. So a lot of data, a lot of complex interdependencies, and a lot of sources. So this is these are some of the challenges there. And then we have the legal data space, which is run by Wolters Kluwer, and this is what we will talk about today. This is the architecture. I will not go into much detail, but I think it is important to see that this first box that you see here with the project owner, this is actually the main assets that we have. So we have this this design interface on top with the data lifecycle and the different aspects around that. where we can define and model and execute data lifecycle workflows, more or less. So this is the management, let's say, layer and the execution layer with respect to the workflow. And then we have policies in place, so which are around data governance and the data privacy, data security, also the ecological footprint that we were talking about. This is all implemented and defined in the policies section for certain dimensions, and then also in a domain-specific way for the different use cases. And then at the bottom we have the tools, which I said is the other part of the important results that we have in the project. I will go into more detail on that one. And what we have is that we have processes around, so you can define in the designer the workflows, taking into account the tools that you have for certain tasks and the policies that are connected to that. And these definitions and these possibilities are then deployed and then are executed. And these are what the other boxes are for. And then in the end, they are applied. They can be applied to data spaces, not only to the ones that we define in the project with the 3 use cases, but actually more in general, but also in other environments if you want to use that in that respect. So this is the main architecture that we have and that we will fill now in the next months with the requirements that we have defined in the project. So the toolbox, I won't say much there yet. Just for the last bullet point, of course, we aim to extend the toolbox. Currently, we have around 25 tools coming from the different partners in the project. But since we also have this, let's say, this data governance and this workflow environment around it, we define ways of how to add new tools and also data and new data to that ecosystem over time. And we encourage everybody to join and to add their requirements on the one hand, but also their solutions to the toolbox in order, to let it fly in the end. So this picture you saw before. So this is the designer with all the different dimensions. So actually, it's some sort of matrix structure with the tasks on the left side and the life cycle phases on the bottom. And actually, you can combine everything with everything. So if you say, I want to acquire data and I want to do that in a conception and then in the implementation phase, and then you can define the workflows and you can then also pick the tools that are in the tool stack in order to make that happen. And then you can take these blueprints and apply it then, let's say, for example, in the legal data space. That's the idea behind that. And this lifecycle management tool is called GenPlane. We have 2 tools. I will not go into that detail here. They come from most of the partners within the consortium, and we will talk about some in more detail when it comes to the use case. So that was the project overview. Now we can go into the nitty-gritty stuff about the legal use case. And actually, I want to start with some sort of history or my own experience with dealing with data for 20-30 years now already. So when we talk about data, what we had in the first place, that we only had proprietary data in proprietary formats. So everything was different, every company was different, even every department was different, and they had their own tools, they had their own data, they had their own data formats, they had their own processes, and nothing really fit in. Then was the idea of getting more access to this whole thing, and in order to achieve that, to create open data environments and also standard formats. This is around this semantic web idea, and around this open and linked data idea. And of course, standard formats are also with respect to XML, for example, and other formats that came up and were very much appreciated by industry. Then, mainly after the data was available, we were also talking about, okay, data in itself doesn't really help. We also need tools that are actually able to work with this open data. And this was then added. And so we have now open software, open tools that are familiar with this open data environments and formats to a certain degree. And then a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, the game changer came in, which is artificial intelligence. And all of a sudden, everything needed to be rethought because AI was adding a lot of, let's say, requirements to the usage of data. All of a sudden, we needed big data. We needed semi-structured data, we needed enriched data, we needed training data, we encountered biased data, and so on and so on. So a lot of new questions and challenges popped up, and this is where we are right now. And through the whole line of this development, what I see is the main reason why this whole thing didn't work, it still doesn't work, that is because we still mistrust. So this is not there yet, and this missing trust has very much to do with legal uncertainty. So nobody knows what he may take or what she may take or what not, what to do with it, what to do with the results, what can I do when I access 5 or 10 different sources, what is the result in the end, what belongs to me, what doesn't belong to me. And I think this is why we European legal data space as a guinea pig and also as a tryout sandbox is key in order to move forward in that respect. And this is why we are very happy to be part of DataBri-X, because for us, we try that sandbox and have created 3 different scenarios which try to address some of the aspects which are preventing this trust thing. And we have 3 scenarios. One is the basic stuff, which is we create a small nucleus of a legal data space in order to provide a prototypical platform to store and process workflows in the end. So this is just the basis for the next scenario, because when I have something in place where I can put data in, then I can add tools, and I can also add a data governance layer to this nucleus in order to be able to solve then real-world data problems with legal data. So the one is the platform, and the second now is, okay, how do tools and other aspects like the data governance aspect work with legal data with that specific domain? And everybody who is familiar with legal data knows that they are very, very specific in many respects. And many of the things that are out there around tooling simply do not work with legal data because they produce very often wrong results. And then in the third scenario, we actually want to use that sandbox in order to check on legal issues with data governance and AI as a whole, as I said, with all the questions around training data, around copyright, around being allowed to use the results for certain aspects around bias and data ethics. We need to have something concrete to talk about, and I think the result of scenario 2 will help us to make the discussion more fruitful and get away from this theoretical things that we have, and it will also showcase to a certain degree what the big chunks of problems still are, which we then can again go back to, let's say, to the government and to policymakers in order to say, well, this is what we actually need from you as an answer. Unless we do not have that answer, we cannot move forward with technology or go forward with respect to the data economy. So what can you expect? So I have here now the testing timeline. So we are currently in the planning session. This is almost done, and we are now preparing for testing. What the cycle 1 and cycle 2 means, I will come to that in a minute. But mainly, so we try to match certain KPIs that we have defined in this cycle 1 around scenario 1 and scenario 2, and then we will evaluate that, adjust that, and then in the last year we will have an additional testing cycle going on with new requirements, but also with modified existing requirements for the cycle 1, and this is what we see. So by mid of 24, you will have, let's say, tangible results. You will be able to see things really with respect to the use case. That's the message here. The second thing is, what will you see? And this is what I would like to point out here. So these are our KPIs. So these KPIs are created around certain aspects. So the first two are more around usability mainly. So actually the platform as such must work. In the end, the workflows must be defined and they must run. And when it's running, then the environment must be technically stable and hopefully also error-free. So these are the first two, more around usability. The last one is also a little bit about usability. Then we have two more, 3 and 4, which is more around the infrastructure. So we want to reduce deployment time, and we also want to reduce the energy footprint, as I stated before. So this is also a clear aim, and of course a challenge there is how to measure that. So KPIs are good, but they're only as good as the measurement that you actually can apply to it. So this is what we are currently figuring out. And then we have, let's say, 5 to 7. This is then the legal data aspect. So the tools that we have chosen for the workflows that we want to implement, they need to work with the data that we offer. So this will come for KPI from Wolters Kluwer Germany. So the language will be German. Then this also must work for a second language. So it doesn't have, it shouldn't be language specific in any way, but generic. So the second language that we have chosen is Polish. So it's not English. We have more a, let's say, a European view on these things. And I think that that Polish is a very good example of an economy within Europe where we also need to have a clear look on, and we want to accelerate that with trying things out with legal data from Poland. And then also we want to make the tools work with open data, open sources, because this is also what is already there, and we should be able to reuse that to a high degree, and this is then KPI 7. And then the last two ones are again about usability. So we want to implement a workflow with at least 3 tools, so that we really have some sort of interoperability with the tools, and we want to have it in an easy usable fashion. So non-techies, so domain experts like Anke, lawyers who have a certain technical understanding, can successfully use and test the platform without having to deal with the technical nitty-gritty stuff. So that is KPI 9. This is what you can expect. So the core is for this audience, I think 5 to 7. So it is to a certain degree language independent. We will test on proprietary data in 2 languages, and also with open data that we will select. And maybe you have some suggestions there for us. So the 3 scenarios. So the one, as I said, is the legal data space nucleus. This is based on something that was delivered and developed in the Trusts project, another European funded project that we want to build upon in that respect. And the core thing here is CCAN. So if you're familiar with data spaces, CCAN is one of the major contributions there, and we will reuse that. So all the functionality about I want to upload things, I want to tag things, I want to download things, I want to whatever, this is already covered with that basic thing. As I said, for us, scenario 1 is not a goal in itself. It is more an enabler in order to enable scenario 2, which you will see here. So here you can see that out of the 25 tools that we have in the tool stack for cycle 1 that we are currently preparing, we have chosen 7 tools, which is we have 1 for controlled vocabularies, so knowledge that we want to use. We have chosen a pool party from Semantic Web Company for that purpose. So this is one of the basic components, and the second basic components is RDF-Ox from Oxford Semantics. So there we will store all the information, all the knowledge in the end that we need to have. So all the enrichment, for example, will be stored in their graph database. And then we have, let's say, some tools around it, and they are then doing things in 2 dimensions. The first one is we have a data enrichment sub-scenario, which will use mainly the tools from DFKI, so which is a German research institute for the legal data. So we do some sort of legal entity enrichment. We go for temporal data. We go for structural information data. So in legal documents, it is always important to know where something is written, because the different elements in let's say in a court decision tackle very different things, and it's of key importance to know in which part which information sits. Otherwise, any kind of search engine will just create nonsense in the end. And we will also use pool party for data enrichment. And then, as I said, the result is then stored in RDF-Ox from Oxford Semantics. So this is the data enrichment part. And then we will also work on a data analytics part. That is, again, the results that are stored in RDF-Ox will then be populated on the one hand from other tools doing analysis, which is again pool party, but also NoDE from Athena in Athens. So they will do the analysis work and write back their results again into the data graph, and then we have 2, let's say, visualization engines. One is the graph engine itself, more for quantitative analytics. So there we will see, let's say, we will count entities, for example, and combinations of entities. So for certain types of courts, which areas of law are tackled, and over time, how that evolved and what that means, and so on and so on. So some sort of trend analysis could be possible with that. And for the more sophisticated things, we use the visualizer from EBOS, which is a partner from Cyprus. So this is really then a visualization dashboard where also the user can define his dashboard views in the end, and this will then be represented as the data analytics part. So what is the data analytics use case? So we have defined the following. We go for a court case recommender. So the input reference will be one document. So let's say I have a court case that describes a certain matter, and then the enrichment goes over that input document as well, and then the analytics part will look for similarities in the end, and then the dashboard and also the pool party recommender then will give us results saying, okay, according to, and this is important, according to legal considerations, these documents are similar to this input document. So it's not about TF-IDF, it's not about statistics, it's really about, okay, how can I solve a real world problem that the legal law firm has? And this court case recommender is the use case for the data analytics part, and will show in the end if, and this is the goal of the whole thing, if the legal data space works, if the tools can work with legal information in different languages, and also if the results are in a quality in the end that really can satisfy a real world problem. That is the objective of the whole exercise here. So as I said, we have two main scenarios. One is data enrichment, the second is data analytics. In the data enrichment, we go more for a quantitative approach, and in data analytics, we go for similarity and also for quality of the results. These are the main things that we want to address here. And for us as a use case partner, it is also important in the end to figure out which parts of what we now implement is generic tech that we can reuse or others can reuse beyond the legal use case, and what is really specifically legal in the sense with the extraction process, for example, and what does that mean in the end? So what is the balance in the end about this generic view on things and this very domain-specific view on things? Because if we have a very small proportion which is generic and everything is domain-specific, then we have a challenge with making that the offer broader in the end, because everything will have to be adjusted to this domain very specifically. But if we in the end say we have some sort of 50-50 share, that would make things much easier in order to get more traction to further use cases within the domain. The scenario 3 then, and I have I think 3 more slides left. This is, as I said, is more the, let's say, the discussion forum around it. So what is the burden? What are the things that are still missing? with respect to why these data spaces and also a legal data space doesn't work yet. So I think we have missing technical standards for legal data. We have a lack of, let's say, licensing information and trust in the data in general. So where does it come from, and how good is it? How old is it? Is it already outdated? Is there a maintenance process around it or not? And things like that. And of course, what we are aiming at the most is there are still core legal questions out there around data protection, about the specific usage in AI environments, where some discussions are going on, but they are very high level still, and we need to break that down somehow. And I think one area where we can be of help is that we make it very transparent with the legal data space scenarios that we have in place here. What I found out also, what we found out is everything is legal. So if you want to run a data space, and not only in the legal domain, legal requirements and rules are everywhere. And it's not enough to let people sign some sort of NDA or whatever, because in the end, all the processes are dependent on legal decisions, and also even individual process steps are dependent on legal decisions. And therefore, and you can like it or not, and think it's complicated or not, in the end, legal aspects need to be part of the architecture design of any kind of data space, because otherwise the complexity will not go away, and you will never be able to create the trust that you need in detail in order to make any kind of data space up and running. So what are the next steps? So in the coming months, since we now have some sort of test bed available, we plan to do some surveys and workshops where, of course, we want to collect what are your concerns, what are your questions, what are your proposals, what to focus on next. So this is about participation in that respect, and I would very welcome any kind of contribution from the audience in order to be able to get the best impact that we actually can achieve. So what the two main points that I wanted to make here: in the end, the legal framework needs to be implemented as a core component of any AI engine that uses data. That is what I'm convinced of. How to do that, I don't know, but in the end, this needs to take place. And I think the European legal data space can help, but it must be a joint effort. That was it. The next webinar will be around the telecommunication pilot. So it will be around improving network services, social media brand equity, and customer satisfaction. And it will take place in already next week, on November the 2nd, same time. And I would appreciate your participation. So that was my presentation, and now we are open for questions.
So thank you, Christian, for this very interesting presentation. So maybe we have some questions in the chat. Let me look. Okay, maybe one question is about participation. So you talked about workshops and surveys. So maybe you can have a look at how can the audience in concrete participate. Do you have any answer on this?
Yeah, so we have some sort of mailing list available, and we also have newsletters that come up we have the website where all the information in this DataBri-X EU, where all the information you can follow, and we will also propagate our surveys there. We had already some workshops. We had one at semantics around interoperability. We have this webinar now. We will have another presentation at the IDSA community. And if you have a community which would be interested also in learning more about the DataBri-X or the use case in specific, then just approach us via mail with this info@databricks.eu, for example, and then we can arrange things. And as I said, just approach us and we will make things happen.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. So nothing more in the chat, but yeah, it's on us to say thank you.
Thank you very much, the audience, and yeah, so I hope we see you again soon in the next presentation in next week for the next use case, and for the legal use case. If you have any questions, just drop us a line.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.